Today is our 14th story, and I have named it as the spiritual space. Perhaps all the architects will not agree with me that I think the buildings in a way are alive, and they have alive is an organ that in a way communicates with people, with surrounding. And I believe depending to the success of the architect, he really tries to inject the spirit and the feeling into space that, if successful, will communicate with people. In fact, Amatul Baharuya Khanum, in comment that has given about the shrine of the Bab, has mentioned that she believes that beloved guardian not only built the shrine, he dramatized it until it became a living experience for the Baha'is, to which their heart, as well as guardian's heart, was linked. Really, I would say the first time that I experienced this feeling was when, for the first time, I went to pilgrimage to Holy Land. I was very young, and I think I was maybe 24 years old, together with my wife and my 3-year-old son, Nisan. We went to Haifa, and it was a very special experience. In those years, from Iran, when you would go for pilgrimage, you would receive a wonderful, often by the hand of the cause of God, by one of the hand of the cause of God, wonderful, really education of what you are expecting to see and how you have to be prepared yourself to really recognize this spiritual experience. Anyhow, we went to Haifa with such really such enthusiasm and excitement, and we used to go to Pilgrim House, and by one of the hand of the cause that they were at that time residing in Haifa, you would be briefed about till the exact time that the door of the shrine would open. We would sit there, and they would tell us about what is a bit about history of the shrine and about the spiritual really encounter that was ahead of us. And then we would all together in a very spiritual, really atmosphere would walk toward the shrine. And of course, from Pilgrim House, we would go through that pebble path, and we would go, and then we would see this beautiful, of course, all of you have probably have had that experience, a pilgrimage. You would see this magnificent display of the Jamil tree, that was in front of the shrine, and the jacaranda flowers that are are on that area. And for me, I was so moved by the first experience that I had was this. I saw 3 branches of a very huge ficus tree that they're like 3 different trees next to each other are coming out of that platform, and at the middle of them there was a magnificent eagle that it really for me, I admire this wonderful touch of beloved guardian that had put that eagle there. And this had really a permanent picture in my brain. I kept it with me. And then, of course, we went to the shrine, and then right at that time, by the time that I was really intoxicated with this whole spirit of the space, suddenly I noticed that my son, Nissan, is lost. It's not with me, and I was supposed to take care of him. And so I ran a bit faster, and I saw that he's entering to the shrine. And I was so worried that now if he makes a noise or something, and it will be so, I just followed. And he entered, and I was so moved to see that maybe because of the reverence of the function and the pilgrims, he had felt it. The 3 years old child slowed down and with such respect went toward the shrine and bent and kissed the threshold and kept his head there, and he wouldn't stand up. And I was so grateful to Baha'u'llah that, thanks God, nothing went wrong, because he was quite naughty. And anyhow, but this one really, I realized from that point that even this spiritual experience has a lot even with the heart of the children. It's something that, and it was something that always, when I came back, this whole space and my first encounter with the Shrine of the Bab was in my mind. Anyhow, some years passed, and then we were in Haifa to live in Haifa, and almost for 15 years I lived on Mount Carmel and at the proximity of the shrine, and there was not a single day that I wouldn't see the house of I wouldn't see the Shrine of the Bab, either from distance or going inside the shrine and saying prayers and all of that. It was something, but not even once. In fact, every day that I took my daughter to school, she would go to Arab school in Abbas Street, and as we would go up the Mount Carmel, the area of French Carmel, or what's called Stella Maris, we would go there. Suddenly you would see that the shrine at the top of the Mount Carmel would appear in front of you, and it had such a wonderful, really feeling. It make me and my daughter so happy, and we would say some prayer together, and then we would pass. And not even once it became for me something normal, something usual, something that you get used to it. And it was always till last moment like that. And I really felt that beloved guardian and Mr. Maxwell really have done a miracle in giving life to this building, and this building is quite alive. Of course, in the notes of Amatul Bahar Khanum, she says so much. Ruya Khanum loved her father, and she thought that her father was, and really, in fact, her father was such a perfect person. I was so impressed by looking at his notes and his interest about all aspects of the life, all aspects of the, I don't know, from insects to animals to buildings to arts to artists to every, he had special book for each subject, and he would keep all of those things. And he was really a very, very, you could see a very wonderful, intelligent artist. But Amatul Baha Ruya Khanum, that wouldn't, Amatul Baha was not a complimenting person. She was very frank, very honest, very straightforward. And she several times, she would say that I heard, she said that I'm worried that I'm so frank that there is no place for me in Apple Kingdom because I'm too frank. And so she wouldn't really say something just for the sake of compliment. She had written in her books that really all the beauty and ideas and concept of the shrine was given by beloved guardian, and Mr. Maxwell was really a pen in his hand. And the interesting thing is that she said that her sense of artistic sense and taste was superior to my father, beloved guardian. Anyhow, that is really proved in the beauty of the shrine and its really composition, proportions, colors, everything. How you could be engaged in the construction of the so many projects on Mount Carmel, and do not think every day of that wonderful event of this 22nd March 1909, when Abdul Baha placed the holy casket of the body of the Bab and Anis to the special chamber that was for the shrine, and really don't think that at that time, at that event, of course, I mean, he himself has written so beautifully about that day. He said that how Abdul Baha had removed his head cover, and with what kind of moving really atmosphere he put his head on the casket and cried, and then all of that he has described one by one, and then with how he came up and all the feeling that he has expressed that way. And then I think it's important to remember that beloved guardian at that time was only 12 years old. And without any question, that event has put some really very, very important impression in his imagination, and till end of his life, he had been inspired by that moment when his grandfather would carry that holy casket and all of that event. Now we have. I've told you the story of how we arrived and what happened and all of that, and the fact that so many building permits and approvals and all of those things was needed from the municipality. But the time was passing, and I had a very serious program that I had written for 10 years construction. I had said that we should start in just on which we in fact wanted to start on, because the Shrine of the Bab was inaugurated on 22nd May, 23rd May, in fact, the one that is the declaration of the Bab. And that day, it has been very auspicious for many events in the shrine. In fact, that's why the House of Justice decided that the inauguration of the terraces also should be on 23rd May, and so on. We went till, and many of the phases of the construction also we started on that day. But these, because we didn't have all the permits, I wrote this program, 10 years program, and by that time I had a wonderful relation with the mayor of the Haifa, and I took this plan, I took to his office, and I showed him the plan, because they always, everybody, there was always doubt about how fast we are going to do it, when we are going to do it, when we are going to start, and this and that. I took this map to this plan to his office. I told him that this is the plan of the construction. Based on these plans, I have to start. I had divided the project to 7 phases, based on which part was easier to obtain permit, and which part was more complicated, which part we had property, and for which part we had to obtain new properties. Based on this, in fact, that's very interesting that when I was, I wanted to write this plan, but you see, as a project manager, you have to have some base for your planning. Either the client will give you a deadline. He'll say, I want the project by this date. Or client will give you a budget and will say, this is your budget and you can get this much money on this first year, second year, third year, how, all of that. So you plan either based on your budget, your money that you have, based on your requirement and instructions of the client, deadline if they have given you, or you will plan based on what is possible for you physically to do it. So I requested from the House of Justice, in the meeting of the House of Justice in Council Chamber, I explained that, please note that right now I have very little to be able to plan. Major part of the fund is not yet obtained, and we don't know it's coming. Baha'is are contributing and all of that, but when we are going to have this much money, that much money, we don't know. We do not know. For many of these things, we need permits. We need town planning scheme approval. We need building permits for construction of the building of the, we were building archive extension, we were building center of study of the text, we were building international teaching center, we were building the terraces, we were building lots of facilities. For each one of these, we needed building permits. We had to demolish several buildings. For those, we needed building permit. We had to change the roads. For that, we needed town planning scheme and approval of the city and removal of the telephone lines and all of those things for which we needed these things. So how we are going to do this when we are going, I don't have any of those information yet in my hand. So, frankly speaking, right now, if you ask me, I cannot plan anything because everything is on air. But if you tell me that all of those problems, the problems that are not related to me, the things that are beyond my control, if all of those things will be taken care by Baha'u'llah, then I can plan based on how fast I can build. But I told them that, look, I am supposed to sign contracts. I'm supposed to go write agreements, write commitments. And all of them, they have deadlines, they have money payment, we have to pay to the contractor will come and start. But to start the building, we have to give him building permit. To start, we should have the budget. We have to pay the money because he will start working. He will give us a deadline. He will say that, okay, this building, most of our building took about 5 years, each one of them. From the day we started, it takes about 5 years. We did. Of course, you should remember that these buildings are not ordinary buildings at all. Terraces is not just a development, it's huge and state-of-art quality building. The quality of these buildings are much, much, much more superior to White House or, for that matter, any other building that you know. We have to, but the contractor is going to, and I mentioned that in Israel, contractors, they try, because it's competition and it's very tough, the contractors will normally quote very low in order to get the job. But then from the next day, anything you say, they will claim. They are just sitting there to say, you didn't tell me good morning today, you are in default of the contract for some reason, and then for anything, they can claim. So the contract should be written solid, strong. And I had all of these years of experience, architectural work in Iran and in England and in India. I had worked with toughest really contractors on earth in these countries. And I had noted all of the weaknesses of our contracts. They were in my, at least a red book that I had. And I had incorporated all of those in my new contracts in Israel. And they were so solid and strong. Nevertheless, the contractor, you don't pay on time, you don't pay the payment of the contractor, he will sue you for all of the losses and they will make it 10 times more. You don't give them building permit when they are supposed to work. You say, what can I do with 100 workers? You have to pay to them. I cannot just let them go and then come back tomorrow. It's not like this, there is coronavirus, go home, we will call you back. It's not that easy. It's not even that for coronavirus, it's not that easy. People that they go, they have lost their job. They can. So I mentioned to the House of Justice that, look, I have written this program that is based on how fast I can do it. And I will run. That means, imagine I said that it looks as if you tell me, run with your head forward with the maximum speed toward the wall. Before you reach to the wall and smash your head, the wall will open. If it does not open, my head will be smashed. And with my head, I mentioned that regretfully, you are also going to be in great loss. So what should I do? Either I have to sit and do nothing, wait for all of these permits, wait for the money, and then we start. That's one way. Another way is to start with maximum force, based on which one you want me to plan. And to my really shocking surprise, House of Justice said, go toward the wall. I said, thanks God, you have it. I wrote his plan, 10 years plan, 7 phases, all of that. And I took it to the mayor. I said, there is, at that time, it was Mr. General Mitzna was the mayor of Haifa. He was a wonderful man, wonderful man. I told him that, Mr. Mitzna, you want these projects to be done, and I want these projects to be done. 10 years is long time Nobody knows who will be alive, who will die, who will be the mayor, who will not be the mayor. If you want this to be done, I have written here, what are your duties, what are my duties. You give me permits on these dates, I will give you the buildings on these dates. If not, you don't give me, I will be in trouble, the project will go, God knows who will really see these buildings, whether it's me or someone else, or is you or someone else. Mr. Mitzna took the plan, the plan from me and hang it on his wall, fix it on his wall. And he said, you come every month here and show me where we are. And I did it. And we did it exactly on that program. And of course, sometimes at one stage, Mayor told me that he said, people of Haifa are shocked of the speed of your projects, how they go, how fast they go. He said, look at our own projects. He says, for your projects, you need my approval. For my projects, I don't need any approval. My projects go so slow, I don't know what is that. And how is that your projects fly? This is really the situation. And I want to tell you that the project manager of the Sears Tower of Chicago once visited, he's a Jew, he visited the one that had built the Sears Tower. He visited our projects and he said that I'm surprised how you dare to open so many fronts at a time, because we had to do things in between. You know that they say if you put an ant in a microwave, the ant survives because ant knows how to move between the waves of the microwave. I've never tried it, but this is what I read. My life was like that ant in microwave. You have to run between the waves. If not, you are cooked. So that was it. And I really, believe me, I made life of everybody around me a bit tough. I remember once I asked a question from the House of Justice, and they told me, when you need the answer. I said, today at 2 o'clock afternoon. And Mr. Nakhshabani told me, Fariboz, we brought you to push the Arabs and Israelis and the workers, but you are pushing the House of Justice. I said, sorry, it's nature of the beast. You cannot do without it. If you cannot, this is it, we have to do it. And House of Justice was so kind that by 2 o'clock that day, they gave the answer. Because really it is, and I had the extraordinary blessing of the House of Justice that I could call to the council chamber of the House of Justice. There is a special telephone that nobody ever used it, but I have used it, and that I call for emergency and say what we need, because that was the situation. Anyhow, so the first phase of the project was the phase that did not, I had found between the waves of microwave, I had found something that did not need building permit. In fact, it needed building permit, but I convinced the mayor that he would consider that as landscaping. And although it was a major really development, but he said that, okay, we accept this as a landscaping, and for that we do not ask extension. And this was extension of the, you see, beloved guardian had built a shrine and had built a platform, the terrace number 10, that is the terrace of the shrine of the Bab. 9 terraces below, then 10th terrace is the shrine of the Bab, and then 9 terraces above, total 19. Terrace number 10, shrine of the Bab, was incomplete. He had, when you are facing the shrine, your back is to the sea. On the right side, the platform was complete at the time of beloved. On the left side, it was half built, half was incomplete. And this was the first one that I wanted to complete. And We started that on 23rd May 1990. 10 years exactly to the end of the century. We inaugurated the project by 23rd of 2000 and by the 2001. So we started this project at that time, and the Universal House of Justice announced to the Baha'i world that this is the beginning, commencement of the Mount Carmel Baha'i projects, which included the Ark and the terraces. This was considered the beginning. On 23rd May of that year, the members of the House of Justice, together with members of the International Teaching Center. So this is that eagle that I said. That's the tree, the three branches of that tree. And this is the eagle that I said that it made such, I don't know, it has such a kind of feeling that it was there. And the combination of the beautiful flowers and colors, jacaranda tree and bougainvillea. Members of the House of Justice at the time reviewing the buildings. This was on the Ark. And this is the day that I'm talking about. This is the day that the members of the House of Justice, hand of the cause, Mr. Furutan, and hand Amatul Baharuya Khanum, that they were in Holy Land at the time. And they joined us, and here on the terrace number 10, I explained the what we are going to do, all of that. And Amatul Baharuya Khanum, of course, was very, very, very interested to know what we are going to do in particular, because of course she knew how precious is this terrace and how close it was to the heart of our beloved guardian. Anyhow, on that day, I explained everything. Then we all together went to the shrine of the Bab to say a prayer. Of course, all the members of the hand of the cause went first. Amatul Baharuya Khanum stood at the door of the shrine of the Bab, and the same way that it was tradition from the time of Abdul Baha and later on beloved guardian, she would give them, she had a beautiful small bottle of the essence of roses, and she would give some drops to everyone that would go into the shrine, And then, so first the hand of the cause of God, they went in, and then members of the House of Justice, and then members of the International Teaching Center, they went in, and at the last one was me, and I was more lucky because Amatul Baharuya Khanum at the end gave me the bottle and her handkerchief and said, "These are all yours." So I have them right now. It's one of my most precious things that I remember, and I have, and still has beautiful smell. Anyhow, the whole project was this. You can see here that this is, first of all, look at the mountain. How naked it is now, shaved completely, all chalk. All chalk. The grass that you see here this is because it's at the middle of from the first day that we would do anything, we would plant some flowers and plants so that they look all right, and we reduce the wound on the mountain as much as possible. But now I will show you, when I show you that what this became, you will realize that how much work has gone to it. Now, this part of the platform had been completed by beloved guardian all till end. It was completed. And this property, this platform was built up to here only. This part is the part that we have added later on as the first phase of the project. We added that. And so we had to either fill the bottom of this platform, or because I needed lots of storage areas, I built a 3-story building. We designed a 3-story building under this. So under that is a huge storage for all sort of storage of material, and everything is there. Throughout the construction, that was a storage of our material, and even today is being used as a storage for the gardens and all of that by the House of Justice. And of course, this is Pilgrim House here. You see, this is the Pilgrim House, and this was the ramp that we created to come down here. Now, when we were building this platform, we had to go under the platform and excavate all of that. We realized that what is the reason that huge, gigantic tree, that 3 branches, in fact, are not 3 trees. They are 3 branches of 1 tree. But at the time of Beloved Guardian, he buried the trunk, the main trunk of the tree, under the earth, because he wanted to make a straight platform, because this mountain is on a slope like this. You see, here is up, here is down. And so the shrine is built on, and this is a 3-story building, is a huge wall. And so all of this terrace, all of this area that you see is filled, it's backfilled, filled with sometimes 15 meters, sometimes 20 meters of rock and rock walls and structures to hold the mountain from sliding, and then provide place for the root of the trees and all of that. And this is that is the area that now you see you have a more straight platforms for the terraces. Now we found that was the tree of the. But I wanted to tell you this, that to my very disappointment, really shocking disappointment, when I came to Haifa to build the buildings, I saw there was no eagle at the middle of the tree. There was no eagle. My God, I asked everybody, where is the eagle? Eventually, I found one of the Arab workers. He told me that one of the big branches of this tree was, during one of the storm, was broken and came down and smashed the eagle, completely destroyed it. Where are the pieces? This was eagle that Beloved Guardian had bought from antique places. And where is it? They didn't know. So it was I really felt sad about it, because that was what I remembered from my first pilgrimage. Anyhow, then we also found that under this terrace and this area, there was a huge water tank that Beloved Abdul Baha built it with money contributed by Janab Muhammad Baqir Afnan, one of the Afnans, and he used it so that the rainwater from the roof of the shrine of the Bab will be collected in this tank. And then there was a connection to this area. I don't know if you see this. There is a small opening here. There was a small opening here that donkeys and animals, they would come and drink water from there. When the donkeys that they were working on development of the gardens and all of that, they would come and drink water. And that water was used also for watering of the gardens at the time of Abdul Baha. Later on, of course, this tank was not used anymore, because the water came and there was no use for that. But there was a tablet from Abdul Baha to Janab Afnan that he said that this tank, this water tank will be preserved in your name forever. So we couldn't do anything with it. We had to, even when we built all of the complex, we repaired that water tank. We made it, we cleaned it, we brought all the stuff out of it, and we put filter and pump and all of that, and we are using that as a water tank for, in case there is a fire in the terraces, that water can be used. And I have changed this opening that was for donkeys. I made it a beautiful, we designed it as a beautiful lotus tank. It's full of lotus and there are fishes in it and it's beautiful. And it just for the beauty is being used. But because we couldn't do anything with it, we have to preserve. So we have that one there. Now, in this area, I don't know, those of you who have visited the shrine, you know that when you come from the pilgrim house, you come here, and then you come here, and you come here, and you pass from these colonnades, or you remove your shoes here, you go in the shrine from this door you used to go. Now, all of these things have changed a bit. But then, if you would have continued this path to the end, at this point under these trees, there was a small room, maybe 2 meters by 2 meters, or 2 meters by 2.5 meters. I don't remember exact number. A very small room. This room was used by one of the most dedicated servants of beloved guardian, whom he loved, Janab Ustad Abu Qasim Khurasani. Beloved guardian, he was just a very, very simple villager that had come and was serving beloved guardian with maximum dedication. He was serving in the gardens. And later on, he was also taking care of, caretaker of archives at that time, was guarding it. And he was very close to beloved guardian. In Priceless Pearl, beloved Khanum have written that how when one night, beloved guardian had a dream that all the trees of the shrines have burned. They're all dead. And he woke up with such anxiety, and that day they informed him that Abu Qasim has passed away. Khanum writes that how for 1 week beloved guardian was sad, cried, and prayed for him. He himself washed his body by his own hand and put a small greatest name ring stone under his tongue, and he had put his picture in the pilgrim house in here on the shrine, as well as in the mansion of Bahji. When you enter to the mansion of Bahji, his photograph is right up the first staircase that you go up. His photograph is there. This simple man, but because of his devotion and dedication, was loved by beloved guardian so much. So, beloved guardian and this man had a small hut somewhere here before. When beloved guardian wanted to extend this terrace to the end, he moved his hut and put it back to this point. Put it here, to the end of the terrace. Because he used to go with pilgrims to the end of the terrace, sit in front of the house of Abu Qasim, and offer tea to the pilgrims. And after Abu Qasim passed away, he kept that room, and he always talked about him to the pilgrims. He was there. Anyhow, we decided that we have to repair this building, this hut, during the construction, and structurally, because there were cracks and all of that. And so we just, with the permission of the House of Justice, we were permitted to go in, and because all of the belonging of Abu Qasim from the day that he has passed away still is kept in that room. And he didn't have much belonging, just a small bed and a small few things, but they are there. When they went in the room to work, they found the pieces of that eagle that was destroyed. To several pieces, they were there, but the gardeners have kept it there. So I was so happy. We sent immediately these broken pieces to England, to one of our wonderful Baha'is of Iran that was pioneer in Saudi Arabia, and his business was steelwork, metalwork, and copper and all of that, and bronze. And we asked him, he requested an artist to put this eagle back to pieces together, and then he cast a new, exactly like original. He cast, and I asked him for 2 pieces, and those 2 pieces was kept in the it's now on the shrine. One of them was the eagle that I showed you at the first, and another one I will show you at the end. Now imagine that photograph with this one. So this is where I said the lotus pound. This is the wall. This whole platform is the new platform here for the this thing. Now, a small, short, quick story, beautiful story of this platform. Then we were working on this. This was phase 1 of our project, and when it had come toward the end, we started to landscape and put all the plants and flowers and everything on the platform, on this platform, to extend the garden complete, so that because there was a Baha'i holiday, and in Baha'i holidays, normally at that time, Amatul Bahar Ruhi Khanum would accompany pilgrims together with the members of the House of Justice, and Khanum would go first, and members of the House of Justice would accompany her, and then all of the pilgrims and all of the staff and all of us, we would follow. I wanted that day to make a surprise, to make Khanum happy, and for the members of the House of Justice to be a surprise. We decided that we are going to work very hard to finish this landscaping for that Baha'i holiday. And the Baha'i holiday was on Saturday. Friday afternoon is the Shabbat, and from 3 o'clock onwards, nobody works. So that day we were working so hard. We had a Jewish contractor, Mr. Alan Tivon, was working there, and with his team and his workers, and they were there every day working. And our Baha'i team, all of them, got gardeners and others, they were working. Now, this all of these days, we were working so hard and running, and everybody was, the whole area was fenced. Nobody would go there, and we were working inside so that we can finish everything right. On Friday afternoon, we worked for 2-3 hours. Everybody, all of us, we were doing something, sweeping, cleaning, everything, in order to complete everything, so that by 3 o'clock Shabbat time, everybody will go. Everything is clean and nice. Saturday afternoon, there is a Baha'i holiday. Everybody will come. So we work all of that day, and everybody, we went home that night. Saturday morning, I thought to myself, early morning I go to the shrine and to make sure that we have not left anything or everything is okay, just to see that and once more enjoy it as a fresh, new place. So I came there. And you see, this is Pilgrim House, and I came there, and I came to this place. As I turned to this area, I saw that our Jewish contractor, early morning of Shabbat, is standing there and thinking. I went silently near him and I said, "Oh, good morning. Surprise, what are you doing here in early morning of Shabbat?" He told me, "Mr. Saba, all of these days that I was working here, I was thinking, I was feeling some special energy here. Something special." He said, "I thought to myself that this is because of the force of the work. When everybody is running and working and full of energy, you create a sort of spirit somewhere." He said, "Today morning I decided to come here alone and see if I can feel the spirit." Then he told me, "Mr. Saba, do you feel it?" I was so moved. I hugged him and kissed him, and I said that, yes, this is a very, very spiritual, special place. That's what you feel. That is, this building is alive. It has a relation with your heart. And it's really true. It was amazing, this for a non-Baha'i to think about that and feel that so beautifully. You can see that platform here better, and that whole wall. This is the tank that is now a beautiful fountain. This is that eagle, the second eagle that I put right at the middle of the bridge. Here is a different place, but he's looking, the eagle is looking to the shrine. This is the second one. And I really, the day that I put that eagle back at the middle of the tree, I felt that the tree is very happy. It's really, it was so seriously missed there. And thanks God, we found it. And maybe Abul Qasim protected it for us. Otherwise, it would have been, if it was not in that room, we would have not found it in all of that time. Now, I have 5 minutes. Let me tell you a very quick story of one of, during that, the period I was there, I had opportunity to work with many of the distinguished people, scholars, experts, and people of great knowledge. One of them was a gentleman that was a specialist in waterproofing, a very, very successful man. He had been ambassador of Israel for some period and all of that. And now he was doing this business of waterproofing, but in a very professional way, and he had an extraordinary knowledge, was manufacturing many different waterproofing equipment and material for buildings. One day I asked him, I called him and I said, I want to consult with you about, I have a question, because we had all of these buildings, the same platform that I told you. At the top we have a garden, huge garden, and trees, very big trees. Below that, it's a building. Now, this is major, and all of the buildings of the Ark, a huge area of the buildings of the Ark are underground, And at the top of that, we have garden. Under all of our terraces, we have buildings, big buildings, big buildings, and like building of Office of Public Information, building of Office of Security. They are all underground in that area, and roof of them is roof garden. It's very critical how to waterproof that area. Anyhow, when I talked to him, he said that yes, he said, I love anything you want from me. I will be grateful to do that. All of my advice will be free because I'm friend of beloved guardian. He said, I'm friend of Shoghi Effendi. I was surprised at what he says, and when I met him, I asked him, can you tell me, you said you're a friend of Shoghi Effendi, how? He said, it's a very interesting story. He said, I was a young boy. I had came to Israel as a immigrant, as a new Jewish immigrant that had escaped my country. I think he was from Poland. From Poland, I had. He said, as a young man, we were in a refugee camp. And in our refugee camp, there was nothing. We had hardly had a terrible life, very, very tough life. This is beginning of establishment of Israel and all of that. And he said that we had, and he said that in this, I was very tired and bored one day. I decided to come and visit the Baha'i Gardens in Haifa. So I came to, at that time, just a shrine, and gardens were much smaller. He said, I came here and I was going to the garden. Then I went to the shrine of the Bab. I went to the shrine of the Bab. I removed my shoes. There was no one else. I was the only one. I removed my shoes. I put it on the side of the door, and I went to the shrine. He said, when I went to the shrine and I just spent some time, when I came out, there was no one in the garden, no one. And my shoes were not there. He said my shoes were very in pieces and old and broken, and that was the only shoe I had. I had nothing else. He said, I was so upset that now what can I do? How I walk back to my camp? He said, I was going around and looking for someone. Then I saw a very nice man, very gentle, very distinguished man, was walking and looking at the garden areas. When he saw me, he said, anything bothers you? Anything? He said that, I had my shoes here, I lost my shoes, and I don't have anywhere to go. He said, this gentleman told me, oh, I'm so sorry. Said, maybe the garden, the people have just cleaned the area and all of that. So, but she said, you wait here, I will find a solution. Then he said, he left, and after some time, a gardener came and had a very nice pair of shoes with him. And he said, he had asked me, what's the size of your shoe? He had a wonderful pair of shoes, and he gave it to me. He said, please use this shoe, and we are very sorry. He said, I was so delighted that I have a new shoe, it's a good shoe. I come in. He said, I went back to my camp. He said, few days later, he said, in those days, nobody in our refugee camp would receive a mail, postage, or anything from nothing. And when the mail would come, they would call one by one, they would call the people, and they would mention their name, and everybody was so jealous that they have something and I don't have. He said, suddenly I said, they called my name. You have a gift. He said, I said, oh my God, I have no one in the entire world who has sent me a gift. He said, I went and I opened the gift, a pair of beautiful brand new shoes with a letter signed by Shoghi Effendi saying that I'm so sorry that you lost your shoe. and please accept this shoe in its place. He said, oh my God, I got so excited. He said, next day morning, I put the shoes on. I came back to the shrine. He said, I came back to the shrine and I spent time, went round and round and round and round, waited, till this man appeared again. He came there. He said, I thought he should be Shoghi Effendi. He should be that because he's not a gardener and gardeners are very polite to him. So he said, I went close and he said, oh, you have seen your shoes. And then he said to me, he asked me some questions about this and that. Then he said, he told me to accompany me. He said, he asked me from where you are and I said, I'm from Poland. And then he said, he told me that please come with me to the Pilgrim House. He went there. He said he showed me a pamphlet. He had written, there was a small pamphlet in Polish language about the Baha'i faith, about the shrine. And he told me that I want you to read this and edit it if there is any mistake. He said I did that, and then he said anytime I find an excuse, I would come to the shrine to see him, and he said he's my friend. So he helped us a lot with everything, and he was a wonderful man. Anyhow, that was the story. Thank you so much, and wish you all the best.